Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm starting another vlog. Please ignore the dog toy if you can hear it. I'm just briefly doing a quick introduction to this new vlog. Essentially, I'm doing a lot of bookish things this week and I wanted to start this video. I've gathered the books that I'm going to be taking to a festival, Cymera. I'm hoping that's how I pronounce it. Essentially, it's a festival for sci-fi, fantasy and horror. We have a couple of panels that we're attending. So I've pulled off the books for those panels and authors that I'm going to be meeting. Obviously, I'm going to take you along for the journey. We're going to be reading some new books and, well, new to me, and just going on this little journey. So if you want to stick around for that, then please do, and let me show you the books that I am going to be taking to that festival. Cymera Festival is a weekend event in June in Edinburgh, and like I said, it's for fantasy, sci-fi and horror, and of course your girl is going to the horror ones. And I've got a stack of books for the authors that I am going to be meeting and attending their panels. We also have a horror panel show on the Saturday night, and India Rose Bauer is going to be there. This is We Call Them Witches, the Evernight edition. I got an ARC for this book and I really loved it, and I love this edition, so it'd be really cool to have this one signed and personalized as well. And then the rest of these books are from an author that you know is my favorite author of all time, and I'm so beyond happy and excited to be meeting this person. One of their books absolutely altered my brain chemistry and is a book I recommend all the time, and they're automatic buys for me at this point. I loved everything that I've read from this author, and of course I'm talking about the legendary Stephen Graham Jones finally coming to the UK, which is, I literally screamed whenever I seen this announcement. I seen it and instantly booked my ticket, because are you kidding me? Stephen Graham Jones is coming to Edinburgh. What? He is doing a tour for the paperback release of Buffalo Hunter Hunter, but I have this really nice Abominable special edition. This one is signed already, as you can see right there, but I would really love to have this personalized as well. Can I move you, buddy? Come here. Get off the books. I'm taking all my other books as well in the hopes that I can get them signed. If I can only really pick two, then the other one is going to be The Only Good Indians. This is that said book that absolutely changed my brain chemistry. I think about this book quite a lot. It's a book that got me back into reading, and I cried at this book. So this one definitely needs to be signed and personalized. I am ashamed that my edition, my copy of this, is in such terrible condition, but this is the one that I read and I've had it for 6 years, so I don't want to change it. So hopefully that's fine. We're just going to bear with, and it's going to be really fun to have this personalized and signed, because it meant everything to me. And we do have the complete series for the Indian Lake trilogy. I really love these books. It would be really cool to have these ones personalized and signed, but if I can just get signatures, then that's absolutely fine too. Those are the books I'm going to be taking with me. That is quite a bit, and I will be picking up even more when I'm there, but I'm only there for the day. I didn't fancy anything on Friday because I'm going to be traveling back from London, and that I just feel like that was pushing it with timings. The video is going to begin on the Thursday. I'm traveling down to London for a work event, and obviously if I read on the train I will film some bits and pieces, because This is a bookish video after all. On Friday we're going to attend the Piccadilly bookshop and see if we can get some new books from in there, and then head back to Edinburgh on the Friday afternoon / evening, ready for Crimea on Saturday, and then spending Sunday with little Axel, and then also going to see the new Scary Movie. If you like this type of content, please do stick around and help me get to 1k this year. I would really love to have you stick around and be part of this little community. Let me know what books you're reading and if you're doing anything fun bookish related this summer. There are so many things happening in the book world and it is so good to see. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there and I'll catch you in the next clip. So friends, I'm in London currently, and I think I did a really quick introduction, which was the last time I spoke for this video, and that introduction was basically telling you that this reading vlog is going to be mini bookish things on my journey in London and back to Edinburgh. And I said I was going to read a book, and I don't think I actually told you what book that was. So this video I am reading The Haar by David Sodergren. On the train down to London, when I wasn't working, I was listening and reading The Haar. In between, I think I got to read like 20 pages or something, between having to do some final prep for my event. But I am really loving this story. This story is brutal. It is so grim and there is so much gore in this story. The story is following Muriel, who lives in Witchhaven, which is a tiny little Scottish village that has been bought out by this billionaire, and he wants to create like his own little world and kick everybody out who has lived there to make it into this paradise for his his own gain, really. Muriel becomes one of the last people living here because everybody else has taken the money. But Muriel is a stubborn elderly lady and she doesn't want to move out of the home that she has lived in for most of her adult life. It's where her husband was before he disappeared into the sea. So she has a lot of memories and connections to her house in Witchhaven. So I can completely understand why she wouldn't want to leave and wouldn't want to be bought out. So the story follows her coming to terms with the fact that she's the only one left, and she comes across a monster. Is this little guy on the cover, and how this character is described in this story is so grotesque, but it's really cool. I thought this was incredible, and well, I'm not finished yet, so there is so much more to happen. And our character, who he gets the name Avalon from Muriel, and Avalon is hungry, and it's basically following that, Muriel taking care of Avalon and doing all of that. It is such a interesting and bizarre story, but there is so much heart in this, and I'm very intrigued to see where it goes. I am probably going to finish it today, and if not today, I'm definitely going to be finishing it tomorrow, in between the panels that I will be attending for Crimea. But yeah, that is where I'm at with The Haar. I'm not going to spoil too much of this story. I am 133 pages in. David Sodergren is such an incredible writer. I'm so glad I picked this up because
I read Maggie's Grave last month and absolutely adored it, so I knew I had to pick something else up by David Sodergren. So there we go, that is the Haar. And today I am working a little bit and then going to check out Waterstones Piccadilly. I haven't been into this Waterstones before, so I'm looking forward to checking out the store because it is one of the largest in Europe, I believe. So I will take you along for that, and yeah, for the rest of this video.
Okay friends, so I'm here to do my little final roundup for this video. I've filmed some mini clips here and there, and I've read 2 books in the space of like 3 days, so that's pretty good going for me. And I want to tell you my thoughts on the books, tell you my thoughts on the panels that I attended, and I'm really sad I didn't get to film any of Stephen Graham Jones's panel, simply because it was packed. The room was so small and there was no room to move. I managed to get a couple pictures, but no filming unfortunately, because there was not a lot of space. But oh my god, it was incredible, and I cannot wait to tell you about that when it comes to discussing the panels. So let me tell you my thoughts on The Haar by David Sodergren. So I finished this in London on my way to the train, and I freaking love this book. It is so incredibly dark and it's grotesque, and I think I told you a little bit about the story already. And Muriel is our main character. She is an elderly woman who doesn't want to be forced out of her home, but a corporation, a big billionaire, is buying out this little village in Scotland, and they are totaling it. But Muriel is standing her ground and not wanting to move out of the house and the home that she has lived in most of her life. It was the last place that her husband was, and so on. So there's a bit of heart in this story, and Muriel felt like such a real person, and it was just so incredible to read. It is so sad as well. I was rooting for Muriel. She did some questionable things, but Muriel did like have a lot of character, and I love that so much about her. The book is so short and it is such a fast-paced read. It was, like I said, it was gross. There's a lot of body horror, and Avalon, which is this character, does a lot of questionable things, but it is such a good read and I really loved my time reading it. But I will say I do still prefer Maggie's Grave. I just think that book was a little bit more of my taste than The Haar, but I enjoyed this book so much as well, so I can't wait to read more by David Sodergren. I think his writing style is literally like up my alley. It is so fun, it is so fast, and it's gross, and he writes characters so well and you're really rooting for them. So yeah, that is the Haar. I finished it on Friday. Okay, so then I didn't pick up anything else on Friday. I got home to Edinburgh at around 7:15, and then we just ate dinner, watched some TV, and then that was it. So I didn't do any more reading on the Friday night. But then Saturday rolls around and we packed our bags for Cymera, and for Saturday I picked up Exiles by Mason Coile. I think that's how you pronounce it. So Exiles is a space opera horror story, and again it's another short read. So I thought this one would be perfect. It also fits for my June Stabby Society bingo board, which is an Instagram like read along for slasher summer. So it fits for this for orange cover. Oh, and also the Haar would fit onto that bingo board as well for folklore. But yeah, the reason I picked this one up is because of fitting onto the bingo board. And I was not hopeful that I would finish it in one day, but I did. It is so fast paced, and because I loved Project Hail Mary so much, I knew that currently I'm in my sci-fi era and I'm loving sci-fi stories, but I hadn't really tried sci-fi horror, and so this is my first sci-fi horror story and I loved it. It was so good. So it's kind of like, you know, Alien meets The Martian. It is so claustrophobic, but it is such an incredible read. So essentially this book is following our characters who go to Mars, and they're the first people on Mars. But before them, there were robots sent there to set up base, and these robots start to gain emotions. There's a lot of like jump scares in the story, and yeah, it's just a tense read, and I think that's what made it such a quick read for me. I didn't read it in one sitting, but I think if I didn't have things I had to do on Saturday, then I would definitely have read this in one sitting. It is such a page turner because it is literally like AI gaining consciousness and how difficult that will be on human society, especially on an isolated like planet as they are on the dust planet. It is such a great read, and I can see why Kayla from Books and Lala loved this book, and I think she says that is like one of her favorites. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure, but I do know that I'd seen her talk about how she loved this book and it was like a 5-star read, and I can totally see why. I've given this a 5-star as well. I loved it. It is such an incredible story, and I love the mystery and the 180 in like who to trust and who's not to trust. And obviously it's a take on AI, and AI in our world is now taking precedent, and it is going to become something that we might see a lot more stories about, especially horror stories, because yeah, AI is taking over the world. And unfortunately, if it does and it ends up in space, this could be a future. But nonetheless, Exiles was such a great read, and I really loved everything about it from start to end. There was so much packed into such a small book. I really loved my time reading this story. So I read this during like my breaks in between panels, and I also listened while I was on the bus, like traveling and stuff. So I was able to read this in different modes, and it was so much fun. So I listened to some of it on my bus journey into the festival, and then I tandem read just before some panels, and then I just read it at certain points in between panels. And yeah, I finished it just before joining the Stephen Graham Jones panel last night at 8:30. So it was so much fun to read this in one day. And yeah, that is Exiles, a 5-star read. Then before I went to my first panel, I met up with a friend. that I hadn't seen since the festival last year, so it was really nice to catch up with her. And then I went into the Creators Hall, which was a little section for like indie authors and makers. You had artists in there as well. There was a lot of stuff, and I did only pick up one thing because I wanted something just to have from the festival that wasn't booked, because I was obviously going to be buying books as well. So I picked up one thing from a stall that I seen there last year, I believe, and they had sold out of some of their bookmarks and I really wanted it. So I've seen it there this year, and so I picked it up. It is this really cute never ending TBR pile, and it is the same on the back. So it's a really nice quality card, and it's so true. The TBR is never ending. So I'm glad I was able to pick it up this time, and it is so pretty. So I went to a panel which was a horror show panel, which had India Rose Bauer, Benedict Anning and Rhiannon Grist, and they were talking about their books. And so that was a really interesting talk. I really loved how they were talking about their horrors and what inspired their stories, and there was a lot of similarities across all three of those books in terms of like isolation and home being scary. And like I said, I went into the bookshop to pick up one of their books because it hasn't come out yet, and I'm not sure if it's out already, but the bookshop was selling the books for people who were on panels, and their books hadn't come out officially yet. And I did pick up Atomic Coffin by Benedict Anning. I haven't read from this author before, but whenever I seen the horror panel, I had read the other two books, and I was like, this sounds something like I would enjoy. It's a submarine story. It's like set during the Cold War, and there's a German spy, and it's like a locked room sort of claustrophobic vibe. And also because it's set in the deep sea, I have thalassophobia, so that is terrifying in and itself. So I thought this book might actually be scary for me. So I picked it up. I also love the cover. It is stunning. I also managed to meet him and have the book signed and personalized. So I'm really excited to delve into Atomic Coffin. Hearing him talk about it during the show was even more of a reason for me to pick it up, because it just sounds like a bit of me, and yeah, I'm really excited to delve into it at some point. Obviously not anytime soon, because I do have a lot of other books on my June pile, but maybe in July. I also went to India Rose Bauer's signing desk and had my Evernight edition personalized and signed, and she was also really lovely. She talked to me about the design process for this book and how she absolutely loves it, and how the designers got inside their brain, because this is exactly what she was expecting and exactly how she was picturing all of these witches, the Eldridge. I just love this hardback edition. It is stunning. So it's really nice to have a conversation with her about the design process and how she absolutely loves this. And I mean, I don't blame her. This is beautiful, and to have such incredible art for your own art, it's just so cool, and she should be so happy with it. I love this book. I read it as an ARC back in January, and then the Evernight edition came, and I was so happy to get my hands on it. So yeah, it's beautiful, and now it is personalized and signed. Obviously the edition comes signed anyway, but as I was there, I thought I would just get it personalized and signed again, so it is mine to keep. So I didn't meet Rhiannon for Homesick, mainly because I didn't really vibe with the book. I felt like Tamsin was such an irritating character, and I wasn't enjoying being in her head, so I didn't want to own a copy of Homesick, which is a reason why I didn't buy the book or go and meet her, but she is a lovely woman. She spoke incredibly well on the panel, and it was a really good insight into her writing process. So I will still check out other works by her in the future, but I didn't want to own Homesick. So that was my first panel, and like I said, in between those panels I did some more reading of Exiles, and then I checked into the bookshop again, mainly because I had some extra time. So I picked up 3 books. So my plan was to only pick up 4 books at the festival, and I did have 4 books in mind, and I only got 1 out of those 4 that I wanted. But these books are ones that stood out to me as well. I love the premise, and they are a little bit different than what I was expecting, so I was so happy to pick them up. But the first one is These Mortal Bodies by Elspeth Wilson. The tagline at the top says, "It's Saltburn meets Mean Girls meets The Craft." So I was so on board with that. It also is like a richly atmospheric campus novel of obsession, infatuation, toxic friendships in the world of elites where rules are made to be broken. So I was all over this and I picked it up. It is a signed edition as well, so that's cool. Now I did want this book, I just wasn't sure I was going to pick it up at the bookshop at the festival, but it's They Fear Not Men in the Woods by Gretchen McNeil. She was attending via a digital panel. Unfortunately I didn't get to watch that one, but I knew I wanted the book. It sounds incredible. I love anything set in the woods, and it was obviously going to be a book for me. But when I went into the bookshop I was like, oh my god, that's a sprayed edition. This is so cool. I was not expecting them to be selling special editions. It's also signed. I'm, like I said, obsessed with folk horror and wood-based stories, so I had to get this, and I'm just so happy that it was a special edition. So that's pretty cool. Last book I bought was The Faceless Thing We Adore by Hester Steele. This, when I seen it, was a little bit strange because I was like, the UK don't sell what are these called, like just the flat hardbacks. Usually they are rounded, so I thought this was an American copy. It's really heavy. Something I noticed was these flat hardbacks are so much heavier than the UK ones. Anyway, picked it up because this cover is gorgeous. I'm loving pink in horror. It is so cool, and it's another special edition. Look at these edges. Oh, so cool. So I actually didn't really know much about this book, mainly because the bookshop I didn't have much signal in, but I managed to see that it was highly rated, over 3.5 on Goodreads. So I was like, yeah, it's alright, I'll pick it up. So I'm intrigued by this story. I might keep myself blind for it and just go into the story not knowing really much about it. But that was the last book that I picked up from the bookshop. And then we move into the main event, and this was so exciting for me. Like, it has been 6 years in the making since I read my first Stephen Graham Jones book. He is a master at writing horror, and I know that it's hit or miss for some people, but it's a massive hit for me. And I was like dreaming and praying for the day that he decided to do a tour in the UK. And luckily enough, it was Crimea that he was first attending. Now granted, I was worried in case I only could have a certain amount of books signed, so I didn't take every book that I own, which was kind of a bummer on my part, but I got the 3 ones that mean the most to me, so that's fine by me. I was able to have a conversation with him as well at the end, but first his actual like talk was so incredible. He is such a wonderful speaker and talked about the writing process and how the buffalo hunter came to be, and how he doesn't really think about the metaphors that we the reader kind of place upon his books. It's just lucky that that happens. And yeah, he's such a lovely man and was such an incredible speaker. Told us a lot about the story that he wrote and like his past and what horror means to him and how he got started and what he teaches his students in terms of writing. I'm really happy that I was able to be there, and I don't really feel like starstruck when I meet people. I've met a number of authors now at this point, and one when he walked into the room, I was like, oh my god, he's a real person. Like, not just somebody who writes my favorite books, you know? Like, he's right in front of me. So I was feeling a little bit starstruck and like having such a surreal moment that the person who has got me back into reading and has written such masterpieces that I still think about today, I'm just like overwhelmed by. So it was a little bit weird to see him talk right in front of you and then also get to have a conversation with him at the end when he was doing his signings. It was such an incredible and amazing experience. He is a wonderful human, and like having that conversation, he is so down to earth. So I got 3 books signed and personalized, and he had stamps, which was so cool. So firstly, let's talk about the Buffalo Hunter. So when I went up, he had said that this was the first book that he's seen that night, like yesterday, in this edition, and that they're very limited. So that was pretty cool to know. So I got it signed and personalized, and he put a big stamp on it. This was so cool, and I really love how it looks like an official document now. Yeah, it was just so cool. And yeah, so he told me that about the Buffalo Hunter, and then he talked about Jade during his talk for My Heart is a Chainsaw. So he said that this book took him the longest to write and develop, and I mean, with so much packed in here, you can kind of see why that did take him so long. But yeah, I love this book as well. It is a love story to the horror slasher trope, and he had a stamp for this book as well. A chainsaw! How cool that is! So that was really nice, and I was a little bit ashamed taking this book up to him. I said it is very weathered, it is very well used and well loved. Obviously it has cracked spines, it's got pulling away from the covers, it's been sun damaged, and there's some yellowing happening on my pages. I've had this since 2020. This is the copy that I read and I cried on, and this was the book that broke me back then and made me want to read more. This was such a surreal moment to have this book in his hands, because this was the book that I personally read and absolutely love. So yes, when I told him that, he then started to say those are the best kind of books, and so he also wrote it in here as well. Well loved editions are the best, and I'm just like, that is so cool, and I'm going to treasure this forever. I love this book, and I'm just in awe that I was able to have him like sign and personalize these books and also have a conversation with me. It was so incredible. He's a wonderful man, and during the talk we also got given these little off the reservation cards. So Off the Reservation is the sequel to The Only Good Indians, so I cannot wait to reread The Only Good Indians before this comes out. This comes out in October this year, and we do have a sneak peek to check out from this, so I'm nervous to do that, but I'm so excited to be able to read a little bit. I don't want to request it from NetGalley because I kind of want to have it in my hands and read it that way rather than just online. So I might only read the excerpt that we get from this card, or wait until October until it is released. I'm not sure yet, but that was just such an incredible experience, and is the author that I have been wanting to meet for 6 years. So it is just incredible, and I'm so happy that it was a really good event. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I'm probably still starstruck by that whole thing, but yeah, I hope you have enjoyed coming along on this weird compilation of bookish things. I'm not sure if there's going to be anything else added into this video, so I'm going to end it here, and if there is, I'll just pop it on to the end. But I will sign out now and tell you to don't forget to subscribe and stick around, help me get to 1k by the end of the year and become part of this little community. So let me know in the comments what author you've met, if you've met any, who has been your favourite, and I will catch you in the next one. But until then, keep your pages turning and embrace the darkness. Bye! Oh, now I have to put these all away. Yay.